We're not going to do an intro to this one. Welcome to Snark Remarks, everybody. My name is Andrew. I'm a failed stand-up comedian. You've heard the shebang-a-bang. If you haven't, listen to our other podcasts, especially our intro podcasts. It'll let you know who we are, why we do this, how much Dusty knows about wrestling, how much I don't, and all that good stuff. And a little bit of a primer at the beginning of actually the wrestling business in the United States. Follow us on Twitter at SnarkMarksPod. Same thing on Instagram at SnarkMarksPod. Find us at SnarkMarksPodcast. Gosh, that's hard to say so many times in a row. On Facebook, if you're weird and only have a Facebook. We're also on YouTube now. The link to that is at all of those places that I just pointed you to. You can't really search us out yet. Well, once this is in, you probably would be able to. But anyway, that's all to say that we are here to talk about something today, something big that is happening this weekend, right?
Oh yeah, big time, big show,
really big show. That is, of course, Brunson versus Till, UFC.
Yep,
from Liverpool. Actually, that's going to be a great show, but
that's not why we're here.
I kid. Yes, I kid. Yeah. It is AEW All Out happening this Sunday, September 5th, in the year of our Lord 2021. And this is our primer show to kind of go down the card. Dusty's going to break down a lot of these matchups, as if one of us hadn't watched much AEW at all, ever.
Try to get yourself in the headspace, like, for any of you who have ever seen a Whose Line Is It Anyway, or possibly been dragged to an improv show by someone that you went to college with, or have just heard about it.
That's a roll of the dice at best, going to a random improv show.
Come see my theater group do long form improv on Saturday.
Oh, we're really funny. We work in like Chuck Norris facts.
Yeah.
This is gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
After you shit on the Chuck Norris facts the other day, I saw I started seeing them pop up, like the targeted ads that you get.
Yeah,
it felt like that, where it's like it's possibly been there the whole time. I was just not akin to it. It's the same as like if somebody's like, what I haven't seen in a while, blue Volkswagen, and then all of a sudden just all you see is blue Volkswagen.
They're just everywhere. Yeah,
they're just everywhere. But
yeah, that happened to me too.
Yeah, much like a Whose Line Is It Anyway, a yes and, if you will. Let's set the stage. And the scene is we have two podcasters on a wrestling show, and we're gonna pretend that one of those podcasters is mostly unaware of the wrestling show that we're going to be watching and reviewing this weekend.
Yeah, we're gonna go as if like I know who a lot of these people are, and I've seen them wrestle before. You know what I mean? Yeah. But once again, as if the only AEW I've really watched is the Rampage with Punk's debut.
Right. And
as if part of that AEW I spent playing Sea of Thieves on my PC with it playing on my other screen.
Yes, we are. What we're doing is we're building a deep lore.
Yeah.
A deep backstory for you, like a Lord of the Rings universe building for this preview episode.
Yeah, we want to be able to cater to those unfortunate souls out there who haven't watched a lot of the to be honest, brilliant AEW wrestling that's been going on for the last few weeks. Every minute of it, Yeah. We have to make sure that we hit the entire gambit. So I'm gonna play the role of the ignoramus, something I'm not particularly used to on this show, and you're gonna go through everything as I try to stay within, this premise that we've built. So
someone yell out a location, just any location.
In an occupation, I need one. Dusty and I went to an improv show and saw a man pretend to be an octopus, and it stuck with us for years. It's been like 4 years.
It is still literally one of the funnier things I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was really good.
That guy was really good. I would watch that guy if he invited me to more of his improv shows.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to run down the card as I have it. This is before Rampage airs. So I can't imagine that they add more to this card because it is chock full of matches. And that has been an AEW problem on pay-per-view. Their pay-per-views, I think because they only do them quarterly and they charge $50, which in the modern age is quite a bit of a money sink to ask your fans. It's not the same as a UFC where they do it every month, but wrestling fans have grown accustomed to WWF Network, $10 a month, Peacock. If you want to deal with the ads, you can pay $5 a month and watch literally more wrestling than even I could ever want to watch. So $50 is a lot.
Yeah, and I'm sick of the UFC charging me $60 a month. So $70. I don't look at the price to be a fan, essentially. On top of the streaming services. So a $50 quarterly isn't that bad, but I do see why they would want to fucking pack these full of matches.
Yeah, but there is a critical mass where you start to fall straight off a cliff. And every one of their pay-per-views, in my opinion, up to this point has hit that critical mass. Not that the shows aren't great and not that there aren't quality matches, but at a certain point, 5 hours before the main event starts, and then I know that main event's going 30 minutes because it's got Kenny Omega in it. It can be a lot. So hopefully, I think the card.
You guys are gonna watch our live stream. We're gonna have giant fucking black bags under our eyes, and we've been up for 14 hours just watching wrestling.
I can't believe that's the longest match of all time. Carl Gotch and Luthez have nothing on this. So if something gets added, then it was added after the fact. But as we stand right now, this is the card after Dynamite aired on Wednesday. We're gonna get a pre-show match, Andrew, for AEW. They call it the buy-in, and it's free on BT Sport, where we're going to see Chuck Taylor, Wheeler Yuta, Orange Cassidy, and the Jurassic Express, which are Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, taking on the Hardy Family Office, which consists of Matt Hardy, a tag team called TH2, and a tag team called Private Party. So you've got your classic Andrew favorite 10-man tag.
Yeah, it's a staple. It's good in every show. It's never bad. The way too many people in a goddamn tag team match. But if it's a way to, at least you're getting, because listen, I haven't watched a lot of AEW, if any at all.
The character has not watched much AEW.
Oh yeah, but I mean,
right?
I'm now in the character.
You're Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that you could do to get Orange Cassidy and like Matt Hardy and all these guys and Jungle Boy on the television, it's probably a good thing. So like I'm not too pissed. And this was gonna be the women's battle royal, but Andrade was supposed to be. Who's Andrade wrestling?
He was gonna wrestle Pat.
Oh, that's stinking Neville, the weirdest looking human being since Randy Savage, to be honest. The Neville.
But, I was looking forward to that match, but unfortunately, I don't know what's going on. Well, I know what's going on. There's a global pandemic, but like Pac has terrible travel issues every time he goes home and then tries to come back to the US because we won't put masks on.
Well,
in Florida.
It's tough. It's tough. I'm sure it's even harder for him to go back. Like, I don't know why. And I guess I know why. It's where he freaking lives. But like, hey, bro, probably can't keep going back and forth. Not especially only because of the global situation right now. I know he's probably got a bunch of elven kids living in a tree somewhere.
Yeah.
Pick a tree in the United States and hunker down for a bit.
He's got to go back to the Shire to make sure it hasn't been taken over.
his wee
Tom
little house.
Bombadil. Yeah.
He's got to get back. The guy who shaves his feet is in England, and he only lets that guy shave his feet.
Well, once you find a feet shaver,
that is true. It's an intimate thing.
You stick with that guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is just going to be your big spot fest cluster, which I think is fine if you're trying to catch people's attention and maybe get them to purchase this pay-per-view or remind them that it's happening on a Sunday afternoon before Labor Day. Also, I wouldn't want to see Jurassic Express lose again on the pay-per-view. I think that's damaging to them. And everybody else on this doesn't really have a story that's like pay-per-view worthy as a match. So you get Orange Cassidy, who's a popular character. You get Matt Hardy, who has name value. You get the Jurassic Express, who everybody loves. So you get a hot crowd, I think, going into it. And then you can get some eyes that otherwise might have forgotten or be busy.
Well, that shows you the depth of this roster, that those guys are going to be on the pre-show. And I don't think we're even scheduled for a match because the buy-in show was, like we said, was the Battle Royal. So like, were these guys not even going to be on anything?
Yeah, I don't know that they were going to have a match at all.
Yeah, which is wild. And you've got all these guys. You've got Cody Rhodes. You've got all these guys who, I mean, Cody Rhodes I don't think is available right now, right? Is he injured? What's going on?
He is kayfabe injured by Malachi Black. So he's off like filming a TV show.
He's getting another neck tattoo, another terrible fucking neck tattoo. Yeah, I mean it's good for them that they have. I mean, it's a good problem to have. It's kind of hard you can't build 25 stars at the same time. You know what I mean? So
right.
So then is that the only buy-in match?
That's the only buy-in match listed, and really I only think you need one. I wouldn't do a bunch.
Especially with the guys that you have on that match. It should be fun, and you've got so many freaking people on the main card that
if that goes 15 minutes and then you do 15 minutes of the buildup with video packages for the main matches, I think you've got a quality buy-in.
Yeah.
So we have Jon Moxley. He's crazy. He's wrestling Satoshi Kojima from New Japan. And just I think that they were trying to get Tanahashi to wrestle, but the travel issues once again. I think you're right. I think it's if you come here, it's not that big a deal. But if you go back, then you have to quarantine.
Especially if you're coming here to Florida. They check to make sure you have COVID if you're going into Florida. But going back to England is a real pain in the butt because they take a lot of people dying seriously over there, actually. You know what I mean? So
and in Japan, where Kojima's coming from.
Oh yeah, Japan. They do the same thing.
Yeah, also a huge deal. So Kojima, I have not seen much of his work. I've seen it in highlights, but this is sort of Jon Moxley continuing his side story of being this like monster, quote unquote, boogeyman in Japan for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I think they wanted a bigger match, but New Japan was like, we're not sending Tanahashi or Okada or any of those guys because we need those guys.
That would have been dope. But like even this makes sense because I was reading yesterday, because this week on our podcast, it's going to release in like 3 weeks, but we recorded our episode for WCW Halloween Havoc. And in that, on that card, Yuji Nagata wrestles. He wrestles Ultimo Dragon. He's, spoiler alert, Yuji Nagata is pretty dope. I like the guy. So I looked him up, and it said that this year in AEW, apparently Jon Moxley challenged him, and they had a match, and Moxley went over, and then they bowed to each other in the ring and all that shit. So it's cool to see that Moxley's still doing that, like bringing guys over from Japan and having matches with them. I'm sure it's going to be fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm thinking if you give 10 minutes to that match, you get to do the intro with everybody singing Wild Thing at Moxley, which is like a great,
it's pretty cool,
fun thing, for them to do.
So you've got that first. I've got the Battle Royal first.
I'm going off of a 411 Mania website, so I don't know if they have match. I don't know if they have it based on what they think the order is going to be for the show, but I'm going from the bottom up.
Okay,
at least from what I can see.
Yeah, we'll just go with that, and if anybody has a problem with it, they can go screw.
Yeah, pound sand, bro.
It would be a good curtain puller. So
yeah, because you get the big pop for Moxley's music, and then you like I said, 10-12 minutes probably the most that I can see out of this thing, because again, the top end of this has got a lot of stuff that needs time, and that's going to take time.
And the last 6 matches are pretty big, at least.
Yeah. So then we've got Don't Call Me Big Show, Paul White taking on QT Marshall.
Marshall. Sorry,
it's not quite Paul White. So
he
QT Marshall
just came as the White Walker. What are you doing?
You know what, Tony Khan? Listen.
What are you doing?
Hear what I'm saying?
Just paint him like white blue, and then give him fucking the contacts in his eyes, and he's the White Walker. He freezes people.
It's spelled the same way, so that's an easy way to go with it.
You spell your your last name is White, and you spell it stupid like that, you're a white. Like that's what they're called. They're whites. Zombie
Paul White. So QT Marshall runs the.
Is it Marshall and not Marshall?
That's what he says.
He says Marshall.
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah, he's trying to be fancy.
All right.
But the announcers sometimes call him QT Marshall, which is funny to me because it's like I think it should be Marshall because that at least gives him a little bit of a gimmick. Because right now he has no gimmick except for possibly being the most hated man in AEW.
He's a gimmickless zilch.
Yeah,
QT Marshall.
For nothing. He runs the AEW. Well, he runs a thing called the Nightmare Academy, which is Cody Rhodes.
I think you're gonna say he runs like the merch table or some shit.
Oh, he runs the Cody Rhodes Wrestling School.
Oh, okay.
And he's been a long time wrestler. He used to wrestle for Ring of Honor. Like, he is not a terrible wrestler, but this is if this is on the pay-per-view and Jungle Boy is not on the pay-per-view, that is a problem to me. Because like Paul White is adding, in my mind, Paul White coming back to wrestle is adding a net zero to your pay-per-view buys.
Every guy that you sign subsequently makes that a smaller deal.
Yeah. Well, and it's just he's old, and it's not match quality. Like a lot of AEW, not that all the matches have to be 5 stars, but a lot of it has to do with like how good somebody wrestles and the story. And the story here is trash, and the match is going to be terrible. But I suppose you could use it as like a 5-minute bathroom break match, or you put it on like second or third, where it's not going to hurt anything, and it goes like 5 minutes. That's it. I can't imagine it going very much longer. Billy Gunn turned on the not quite the Big Show on Dynamite this week.
That's not very badass of him.
No, well, that's super badass of him. He thought he was his friend. The ultimate ass move to double cross your pal and hit him in his surgically repaired hip.
What's more heartbreaking than he thought he was his friend?
Yeah.
Just in almost in that sentence right there. I thought you were my friend. Like, that hurts. I'm looking at QT Marshall's. I'm calling him Marshall. Fuck him. Spell it differently, bro. I'm looking at his Wikipedia, and he was trained by like 19 people, and it's like 7. But some friends of the show. Bubba Ray Dudley.
Yep.
Devon Dudley. Somebody I'm mad at, but still I'll call him a friend of the show. Scott Hall. Okay.
Nice.
Scott, don't do that freaking accent, Hall. And a guy I learned of yesterday while I was watching Halloween Havoc, Larry Zbyszko.
Larry the Legend Zbyszko.
Yeah, I like the man. He
All
looks
right.
like Jim Belushi.
He does have big Belushi vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we've got that, and then I'm guessing is Battle Royale next.
Yes. So we have the women's casino battle royale, which at this time lists participants. Here we go. Nyla Rose,
You're gonna do all
Julia
these, huh?
Hart. Yep, do them all. Content, bro. Nyla Rose, Julia Hart, Big Swole, The Bunny, Thunder Rosa, Red Velvet, Ty Conti, Penelope Ford, Diamante, Hikaru Shida, Ima Sakurara, Jade Cargill, Kira Hogan, Abaddon, and Killin King, Layla Hirsch, plus my favorite wrestler, TBD.
TBD is always good. There is a wrestler in AEW named Big Swole.
Yeah, she's terrible. She's a bad wrestler.
That's a bad name. It's a bad name. She's
this is
she's married to Cedric Alexander, by the way.
Yeah, who's a good wrestler. So that it evens out in the family.
Yeah.
Let's watch all of your matches, Cedric.
They're gonna have some mediocre wrestling kids.
Yeah, right. Just right down the line.
Yeah.
You know? So this is to determine a number one contender, I believe, for the AEW women's title. A problem with the AEW women's division is they have a lot of female wrestlers, but they have a lot of them that kind of all fill the same role, which is like evil, blonde, attractive girl who's with douchey guy, which is fine. You need those.
Groundbreaking.
But they also have a lot of wrestlers who are very good, but they're green. Like Red Velvet could be very good. She has not wrestled very long. Jade Cargill could be good. She hasn't wrestled very long. Hikaru Shida is great, and she was the AEW Women's Champion for a while. But I think a lot of the division was based on this idea that they'd be able to bring in a lot of the Japanese women's wrestlers. And because of travel restrictions, that's been a harder thing to do. So the division has kind of suffered.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What makes this a casino battle royal?
Well, I don't know exactly what the rules are that they're going off of. They do a lot of casino-based stuff because, like, the pay-per-view is called All In, the original one, and then they have a pay-per-view called Double or Nothing, which is like
thematic bullshit.
Yeah, and then like sometimes they've had battle royals where people come out like in groups. It's very convoluted.
Yeah.
And I do not expect this to be very good because battle royals by and large suck anyway, and it's hard to have a good battle royal no matter who's in there. And I see a lot of potential for a lot of sloppiness in this match. But at least you've got a lot of women on the card, which is good because it gives you exposure to a lot of these women that you can theoretically do stuff with in the future.
Yeah, it's a way to showcase a bunch of people, you know. It's also a way to make your freaking pay-per-view a lot longer.
Yeah.
So it seems as though okay, so the Casino Battle Royale is a modified Rumble Rules Battle Royal that features 21 entrants, 21 casino number.
Right.
It begins with a group of 5 wrestlers, and every 3 minutes, another group of 5 wrestlers enters, while the 21st and final entrant enters alone. Big advantage for that 21st and final entrant.
And normally they do the last couple of years, they've done a surprise person. So like Brian Cage, that's where he debuted for the men's casino battle royale.
Oh, it's going to be Lana then.
Either Lana or there's a lot of people saying maybe Ruby Riott.
That'd be dope.
Yeah. And so I'm in for that because she's really good. And Britt Baker needs opponents who she can work with.
The wrestlers are grouped based on the suit they drew from a deck of cards. Spades, diamonds, clubs, or hearts. And the order of when each group enters is based on a random draw of the cards. Really going with the casino thing, huh?
Yeah.
The 21st and final entrant is the wrestler who drew the Joker. Fuck yeah, bro.
Twisted, bro.
God damn.
Just tattoo damaged on their forehead, dude.
Yeah, the winner receives a world championship match of their respective genders division. So
they're also building Thunder Rosa, who I could see winning this thing if they don't have a surprise entrant. If Ruby Riot's the surprise, I think she's got to win. But Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker have already had like a feud that has a lot of build behind it, and people have been wanting that rematch. So I could see her winning this as a way to get another match.
Okay. The only reason that I said like Ruby Riot makes more sense, but the reason that I said Lana at the beginning is because yesterday Lana tweeted 90 days.
Yeah.
So, and it was 90 days apparently. So her non-compete was over. So people are saying. So,
and it might very well be her, or there could be more than one surprise.
If she comes back, I hope she's Russian again. God, I loved Russian Lana. Holy shit.
If she comes back, her best use in my mind is just to be Miro's manager. Like, she's not a very good wrestler, unfortunately.
And she's good, like being that, like the manager. She's got that shrieky voice.
She's very hateable.
Yeah.
If she can dial in.
And not the wrong kind of hateable either. Like she's villain hateable, you know?
Yeah. You want to see comeuppance. She's comeuppance hateable.
Yeah.
You know? So now we start getting to the big matches. By the way, if that battle royal goes longer than 12 minutes, got a big problem. Well, I guess it's got to go 20 minutes because there's 5-minute entrance, or at least 15, right? So
yeah,
the shorter the better on a battle royal. Like they're just hard to put together.
Well, especially on a long show.
And the Royal Rumble's the only one to ever really do it right.
Well, and the Royal Rumble has the added novelty of the surprise entrance. You know what I mean? Because there's so many that they have at their disposal. They could just call stinking. I use this every time. They can call Tugboat whenever they want. You know what I mean?
Right. So he's always got that hat. So he's like, good to go.
Yeah, I'll be in the Royal Rumble.
So we have for the TNT Championship, Miro, the former Rusev, taking on the Mad King, Eddie Kingston.
Is that the guy who sang "Beautiful Girls" in like 2010?
No, that's the guy who's that's Sean Paul, dude.
I think it's Sean Kingston.
Well, Sean Kingston, but I'm saying Eddie Kingston is more like Sean Paul.
Oh, is he?
Dance floor Jamaican. Give it to me.
I don't really care what people say.
Yeah. Eddie Kingston's great. He cuts awesome promos. He looks like a dude that would beat you up. Like he's a throwback wrestler where he's not in tremendous shape, but he just looks like a guy that will fight.
Oh, he kind of looks like Paul Wall. I've seen him on a couple of I think he was on like the Rampage kickoff show.
Yeah.
He kind of annoyed me, but I'm probably wrong if you like him. So
well, he's just got like a New York thing, and he seems authentic. Like when he cuts his promos, and he cut a really good promo on Dynamite because Miro's gimmick is that he's the redeemer. He's God's favorite champion, and he's the redeemer. So
everything that fucking guy does is gold, man. That's so good.
So Kingston was like, I'll take you down, and we'll walk hand in hand through hell, and after I beat you, maybe your God will accept you into heaven. And Miro came back and was like, the only thing I lay down for is my hot wife after I win these championships. Because that's all he always works in a promo about how hot his wife is and how much God loves him and has blessed him as champion. It's great.
He's just Bulgarian Jesus, isn't he? Dude, I fucking love Rusev.
I can't believe WWE missed the boat on this dude. How dare he get over on his own? Get out of here, Rusev.
Yeah, I just don't get it, man. I don't get how you like don't see how great this fucking guy is. Like, I just don't get it. And he's huge, and they like huge guys. Like, I just don't understand it.
I think this will be a pretty good match. It'll be hard hitting. I think Miro wins because he's on a big roll, and I wouldn't want to stop his momentum, especially since this is the first match between these two, and they're doing a show in New York on September 22nd where you could do a rematch of this. I think, and Eddie Kingston will get a huge pop because it's in New York City. So I know I keep predicting match times, but I'm thinking like this is probably 10 minutes, 10 good minutes of this match. Things are great. Miro, as wonderful as he is not built like I don't want to see a 20-minute Miro match. That's not the best use of that guy.
God, no.
In my estimation. So God's favorite champion. He's a quick he handles things quickly, you know. It's got to get to his
you got
hot
God
wife.
on your side. It's gonna like a knife through butter.
Yeah. So then we have Chris Jericho taking on MJF in their final match, where if Chris Jericho loses, he has to retire from AEW. His career is on the line in this match.
He has to retire from wrestling in general, right? Or is it just from AEW?
Well, he said, I'll retire from AEW.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
But he has time left on his AEW deal. But he's like, I will go be a full-time commentator if I lose this match. So I won't wrestle anymore. I don't know what you do here because there's a part of me that doesn't think Chris Jericho retires. But there's also a part of me that's like, you shouldn't beat MJF. You really shouldn't beat that dude. Even if he beat Jericho 3 times, he didn't beat Jericho the time that it mattered the most. And I guess you could tell the story of Jericho was able to pull it out because the stakes were so high for him. And I'm not mad at that story. I just think because AEW is so specific about their stipulations and they really stick to them, putting the career on the line thing here, it creates doubt, which is great, but I don't think Chris Jericho loses this match, and I think that stops some of MJF's momentum.
I'm going to guess. This is a total shot in the dark. I haven't watched the television. We've been over this. I'm going to guess Chris Jericho loses this match and retires from AEW.
That's entirely possible, and it would be great because that leads MJF right into the main event.
Yeah, and specifically because he said, I'm retiring from AEW. I feel like if he said, I'm retiring from wrestling, because if you're going to win, why you might as well say, and I'll cut my dick off and throw it in the river, you know? So if he is says something that specific, I feel like he's got some plans, and you know, maybe he stays on as a commentator, doesn't wrestle for AEW anymore, lets the young guys do their thing, and then he'll show up in Japan every once in a while and do a quick little program and make some money and leave and go do a Fozzy show. He's 50, you know, so
yeah, he certainly doesn't owe anybody anything if he wants to retire. Also, I think it could be a good time for him to retire because I don't know where Jericho fits in, especially if Punk and Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole and Bray Wyatt, all of those guys are coming in, and they've all got mainstream names to various degrees. Like, they don't need Jericho to be the face of AEW anymore because he was the big mainstream signing whenever they first started, because Chris Jericho is a big mainstream wrestling star.
Yeah, it's essentially like my work here is done. Like he was a big, I think he's been a massive part of where AEW is now. There's been, you know, obviously a lot of wrestlers have contributed to it, but in terms of name value and like all their giant storylines before now that have gotten any leak into the mainstream have involved Chris Jericho.
And he was the first champion, and that helps. And he did a lot. And now I think he's either just going to interact with those guys, but I don't know that you want to see Chris Jericho versus CM Punk at 50 or Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson or any of that when you've seen it in WWF. So it feels a little more like a retread.
I'd love to see it. I'd be you're not wrong at all, but I'd love to see it just because I fucking love those guys. But yeah, it's not fresh.
Yeah, and so I can see, and that's the whole point of this stipulation. That's the beauty of the stipulation, is you could see a scenario where he loses the match. And so that's all you really need. You need a realist. It's different than the if Roman Reigns loses, he goes away, because there's no way that's happening.
Yeah, that was really stupid. Or if Bret Hart loses, he can't wrestle in North America, in the United States anymore. It's like, Aaron, you're fucking not going to do that.
So
you do one Canadian show a year, you're going to relegate Bret Hart to that.
I did hear a fun idea, which is they're going to do an episode of Dynamite from the Chris Jericho cruise, if that happens, and somebody said, like, that would be really funny and a fun gimmick if he was like, we're on international waters, the rules do not apply to international waters, and then he has one match with him, with like a tag match with MJF or something. That would be fun. I'd
love to have him like
only challenging people from a boat.
Yeah, or that would be sick. Or they figure out a way to put like a lounge chair like above the ring, and he just lays in a robe with a drink the whole match. Yeah. I mean, the whole show, and like you can hear him yelling and shit. And or in the ring, they have to wrestle around Jericho in the ring because this is his cruise. It's his show.
Yeah,
something stupid like that.
That'd
Everybody
be
but me would hate it, but
that's
him in the ring.
That's very funny. So then we have, for the AEW women's title, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, taking on Chris Statlander.
Do you know what DMD stands for?
She's a doctor of medical dentistry.
Okay.
I think that's what DMD is. She's a legit dentist.
Really?
So yeah. So she's an actual doctor.
All right, Britt.
And that's
I
part
thought it
of
was
the
like
gimmick.
DDS is dentist.
This is, I think, like Doctor of Dental Services, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think DMD is, maybe they just changed DDS to DMD so that they put medical in there, just so people respect the fact that dentistry is medicine.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not like back in the day when the barber, who's also the mayor, who's also the sheriff, is the dentist. And
he's just got what are they, talons? What are those things? The
forceps.
Yeah, forceps. He's just got forceps.
And he serves you a shot and then they pull your rotted tooth out or whatever. Now there's like medical things that go into dentistry.
Get up, pussy.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Chris Statlander?
No.
I think you're gonna hate it. She's an alien from the Andromeda Galaxy.
Oh, good. Fucking motherfuckers.
So there are two ways that gimmick goes. One of them I like, one of them I don't like as much.
You know how you know she's an alien? She's got weird face paint, man.
Yeah.
I can't just go fuck yourself.
So I like the idea that she thinks she's an alien from the Andromeda Galaxy. That I can get into. That's fine. But like, I don't know if they try to sell it as, no, she's a literal alien. Like within this character, obviously she's not an alien, but like, does her character just like the idea that she's an alien? Is she suffering under some delusion? That's okay. But if you're trying to tell me she's an actual alien, then in 2021 we've got a problem.
Yeah, you do an angle where like the mothership brings her up like Poochie and shit.
Right.
If she's a psychopath and like it turns out like they find out that she's completely lying, that would be a hilarious storyline of like one of the wrestlers starts doing some digging and like is like whispering to other wrestlers like, look, I found out about this girl and she's obviously she's not from outer space, but she's like been in mental institutions because she thinks she's an alien.
She burned down her school.
So they're like asking Britt Baker, and Britt Baker's like, I'm a dentist. Like, I don't I didn't go to psychology school. You know what I mean?
I know I'm a medical doctor. However,
her wiki says Statlander employs an alien gimmick, which she attributes to her being a quote big science nerd. Oh, are you? Yeah, fucking. You like Neil deGrasse Tyson and the Big Bang Theory?
That's she's. I mean, in the multiverse, she could be from an alien planet.
I'm gonna give her a chance. And I really hope it does end up being a mental defect that makes her think she's an alien, rather than she is a kayfabe alien. because then just go ahead and sign the Fiend and don't change it at all, and
Right.
do the he can't get hurt thing in the House of Horrors matches.
She doesn't actually do like weird stuff. She's just a wrestler who is an alien lady.
She doesn't come out going nano and shit.
No.
She has a 450 splash.
Yeah, they call it the Area 451, which is kind of
know.
fun. I like that.
And she has an inverted pile driver she calls the Big Bang Theory, apparently.
Yeah, that inverted pile driver worries me because somebody's gonna get hurt on that move. But she's good. She isn't. I haven't seen any great matches with Chris Statlander, but she is a serviceable opponent for Britt Baker because there's no way Britt Baker loses this match.
I was gonna say, and I haven't watched shit, as we said. I'm pretty sure that's one of the that's probably the second or third biggest lock on this show.
Yeah.
Because if CM Punk I'll cut my left foot off if CM Punk loses this match, especially clean, right?
Yeah. So I think Britt Baker retains. They're trying really hard to keep Britt Baker a heel, which is baffling to me. But this is a good match for her to have as a heel because people like Chris Statlander. If they're gonna do where she's a heel, she's got to wrestle people where they're not going to, where the crowd's not going to revolt, where the crowd will actually cheer for Britt Baker's opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just, I don't know, turning Britt Baker babyface, because clearly people like Britt Baker. So then we have for the AEW World Tag Team Championships in a steel cage, the Young Bucks, who are the champions, taking on the Lucha Bros of Ray Phoenix and Pentagon Jr.
Yeah. Pentagon
is going to be an amazing match.
Yeah.
Yes, the Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks have great chemistry. Ray Phoenix, you're gonna love him. He's maybe the greatest high flyer in wrestling at this moment.
Okay,
he's so good. Like, and has such great babyface potential for whenever they want to make him a single star. Just you can't help but cheer Ray Phoenix because of the stuff that he does.
Okay.
The Young Bucks are these intolerable prick heels at this point, and they cheat to win every single match. So that's why they put this match in a steel cage to, in theory, keep outside interference from happening. So,
I'm hearing from the Twitter that when it comes to shenanigans, AEW is for them.
I think they are for them in TV matches. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen a lot of shenanigans for AEW pay-per-view matches.
Okay.
Because you pay money for those, and it's building heat. In theory, you really want to see the Young Bucks lose because you think like they'd already have lost a bunch of times if they weren't doing such shitty heel tactics. Like they have a guy outside their ring, Brandon Cutler, who's a wrestler, but he's also been their friend for years. And right now he's their stooge, and he broke his nose a while back, so he's wearing like a full face guard thing, even though his nose is healed, which is an awesome.
I love that gimmick. Yeah. That's tried and true.
Yeah, but he has this like cold spray that they use for quote unquote like relaxing muscles, you know. And when the Young Bucks take a bump, they'll go in the corner and he'll spray them with the cold spray to like try to help, and then they'll use it to spray it in the eyes of the opponents.
Okay.
That's
Tajiri like, style.
Yes, shenanigans afoot.
Have the Young Bucks never lost in AEW?
No, they've lost. It's rare. They haven't lost in a long time in like a tag match because they've been the champions since February, I want to say. Okay. So I think there's a chance that there's a title switch here, because you're not getting a title switch in your other two big main events. And I think that there are newer matchups with the Lucha Bros versus the other teams on the roster, but there's also value in keeping the belts on the Young Bucks. I just don't know who the Young Bucks lose the titles to because there's no one currently that is that's built up besides the Lucha Brothers.
Well, I tell you what, you team up Danielson and the Big Show, right? And
Right.
the worst idea ever.
Yeah.
And you
The
have Big and Brian,
yeah,
and you,
the Dan show.
yeah, they're just they're besties. It's like Robin Big, you know what I mean? It writes itself.
Yeah. I could see them doing a CM Punk and Brian Danielson tag to take on the Young Bucks, but I
think that's
not
a bad
fan.
idea. I can see him do it. I think it's a bad idea.
I could see it for a TV match. You could pop a big number on that. I don't know that I'd give the belts to Danielson and Punk because they don't need those belts, and that's a very WWF thing of like, let's put together two big stars and have them just go over the whole tag division, so that tag division doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, I think maybe like eventually, like do it for like a one-off program, like like something weird happens to where they team up. Like, let's go kick those guys' ass, like in 6 months or a year after they've done a lot of cool single stuff, because it just seems like a waste to have like every one of their matches each respective guy is out of the ring for half the match, it's just I think it's a bad idea, but eventually, like I said, it might be fun for like one thing.
Yeah, I think this goes probably 20 plus. The only downside to the steel cage is the way the AEW steel cage looks, because they brought it down on Dynamite this week and just had the Elite, which is Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers, just kick the shit out of the Lucha Bros and Christian Cage inside of the cage in a cage.
Oh no!
Despite all his rage,
cage, bro.
Despite all his rage, he's still just a cage in a cage. So
those are better lyrics.
Yeah. And I still believe that I'm stuck in this cage.
Yeah, word is Christian's still in that cage.
Yeah.
Their cage looks cool.
Yeah, the only downside is it doesn't go all the way to the floor. And so you're sort of taking away some of what makes the Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers matches so great, in that they can do all their acrobatic stuff. But these guys are so good, I can't foresee a situation where they're not going to have some amazing spots.
Somebody's jumping off the top of that cage.
Ray Phoenix is jumping off the top of that cage. Somebody's getting a destroyer off the top rope.
How about Randy Savage jumping off the steel cage at Halloween? Okay, we'll get to it. Listen to our Halloween Havoc episode in like a month when it comes out. But God damn, for nothing.
For basically nothing.
For nothing. To be a crony.
This is a toss up. I can see arguments for either the Lucha Bros or the Young Bucks. I'm hoping the Lucha Bros win this match just because I really like those guys. But in either case, you're gonna have a great sub main event here.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Then we have for the AEW World Championship, Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Coming off Christian Cage being the first guy to beat Kenny Omega in 2020 or 2021.
Yeah.
For the Impact title. So this is a revenge match with no additional stipulations, but while they had a really good match on Rampage, I think this will also be a very good match. There's no way Kenny Omega loses this belt.
Not to Christian. They really shouldn't, at least. Like it would be crazy if they gave it to Christian. I like Christian, but like you have so many options once Kenny Omega retains this belt, and apparently spoiler alert, guys, I keep hearing, and it's getting stronger and stronger, that Brian Danielson will be there on Sunday. The rumor was that it was going to be late September, but apparently from a lot of sources, actually, it's been moved up due to some New York travel restriction thing, and I'm not sure how even that works. I didn't look further into it. So you have all these guys that Omega can wrestle for his title, maybe not lose his title to, maybe lose his title to, but like you give it to Christian, that just pours flaccidity. That's a word. It is the state of being flaccid all over that title. So I there's just no way. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you say Britt Baker's a lock. I'll believe you on that one. I don't know enough to know that. Punk is 100% a lock to win his match, unless something like they do some crazy shithead shenanigans, which I think is really dumb. And I don't think there's any way Kenny Omega loses his title this weekend.
No, I think that's why you have the Jericho MJF match, which is big stakes up in the air, and why you have the tag title match where you can foreseeably see either guy winning.
Yeah.
Like, not every match has to be the oh, I wonder who's going to win this match type of thing. You just need some of those, because sometimes it's just about having a great match. I think the Kenny Omega Christian Cage match is going to be great. I think they've done a better job than I thought that could be done to build this matchup and make Christian a more credible threat to Omega. But it's just not, in my mind, it's just, there's no benefit to giving the belt to Christian.
I wonder if that's why they had him beat him.
That's part of it.
So it would be believable at All Out that he could beat him. But I think still, even then, it didn't really, like, he's not going to beat him at fucking All Out. So
no, and I think that, and again, I got into a discussion with a guy on Twitter last night about something, because there's different philosophies, which is fine, but I wouldn't have had him beat Kenny Omega. I would have sacrificed this as a mid-card title defense, because Kenny Omega staying strong and making that first pinfall really, really means something, would have made when he really loses so much more important. Not that people might forget in 8 months that he lost to Christian.
Yeah.
And an 8-month winning streak is certainly impressive, but it's not as impressive as no one in this decade has pinned Kenny Omega's shoulders to the mat until this guy did it. Whoever that guy you decide it is. That's like if they had beaten the Undertaker at WrestleMania 11 and he was 21-1 when Brock Lesnar beat him, it's still impressive. It's not as impressive as being the guy who ended the thing.
Or if they had Lesnar beat him at the pay-per-view before WrestleMania.
Right. It certainly, to some degree, minimizes some of it. But I think this will be a great match. I expect Omega and Christian to really bring it, but I see in about 25 minutes Kenny Omega winning this match.
Yeah.
And I did them in this order on purpose, because while the world title match generally goes on last, and I think generally should go on last, because the title should be the most important thing in your promotion almost all the time, there are rare circumstances where something is bigger than the world title. And the return of who is now your biggest mainstream star and the mover of all of this business for you after 7 years of not wrestling is one of those occasions where that's bigger than the title match. So in what I assume has to be the main event, because it's in CM Punk's hometown and people have waited so long for it, CM Punk is taking on Darby Allin.
Yeah. I saw I saw what they did on Dynamite last night.
Didn't like
I know you had your issues. I disagree. I think that had he came out, I'm gonna say bland, but it wouldn't have been bland because it's CM Punk. But it's a little bland if you just have him come out the third time and talk again. Yeah. Nobody's gonna be talking about that. It's not gonna build any heat for the actual match. You didn't give away him fighting Darby Allin. You didn't give away a match. You had other people come in and attack him. You had Darby come in and kind of defend him, and then they got into each other's faces, showing that this is about pride and competition rather than hatred. You had the Stinger cutting a great promo on him, saying, I'm not even going to be there at ringside. He's ready. You're ready. I'm going to give my guy a fist bump and get the hell out of there. He's like, it was an honor to even be in the ring with you at the same time. Like, and it was a cool moment. I'm not crazy that they showed the go to sleep. I don't really I don't really care that much about that though. But like, I think it generated more heat for the show than him coming out and just talking would have, in my opinion.
I agree with 90% of that.
Yeah.
I don't think that anybody should have touched CM Punk before Darby Allin did. That's my only grievance is for a couple reasons. One of them being the story of this is the first time this dude's interacting with a wrestler in 7 years.
Yeah.
Like that's a big, you only, in my mind, you only get to do the comeback one time. And like, no, the guy on Twitter that I was talking to made a good point. Nobody's not going to buy this pay-per-view because CM Punk had a little interaction with Daniel Garcia and the 2.0 guys. That is true.
Yeah.
But perception sometimes is the reality. And there's a lot of stuff that could happen. He could, in a very simple way, he could have got hurt. Who knows what could have happened?
But at that point, once he's wrestling, it's like you can't protect him that much. Like they didn't do anything really dangerous. Like he kind of pulled guard and got fake punched a bunch of times, and then put that guy in the corner, stood up on the corner, punched him a bunch of times, and did they go to sleep basically.
They were very safe. I'm just saying, and I don't think so. After the first Darby Allin match, have guys run out on TV and cut angles and do wrestling stuff with it. I'm just saying, you built this whole show on the fact that he's wrestling Darby Allin, and Stone Cold Steve Austin blew out his knee getting out of the ring one time. And, one of the guys from FTR was standing on the ring side and got his arm cut open by one of the turnbuckle hooks. Like,
Tony Ferguson blew out his knee on a TV cord. You know what I mean?
Right. Like crazy. I'm just saying, I'd wrap that dude in cellophane until I get this match.
Yeah.
That's all that matters, is getting this one match. And I agree. If he comes out and just cuts a in the ring CM Punk, hey, I'm glad to be back. I love you guys. I can't wait to wrestle. I'm a little nervous promo. That is also like a little flaccid. Yeah. I think you could do the face off. I think you have Darby Allin come out and kind of cut the promo that they showed on Dynamite, where he says, like, yeah, and I've heard other people say this, so it's not my original idea, but I think it's a great idea. We're like, you're kind of patronizing me. You keep telling me that if you were 15, I'd be your favorite wrestler, but I've been wrestling all this time. You've been gone. I've been making a name for myself. And when I was 15, you were my favorite wrestler, but now you're just a dude that's in my way, and I got to beat you. And it's not because I hate you, and it's not because I'm not glad you're back. It's insulting to be the guy that you want to wrestle first, because that means that you don't think I'm dangerous enough to beat you. Whatever, however you want to cut that, and do the Sting promo. I think the in the ring part of it was great, and I don't think that it's the worst thing that you show the go to sleep. But Punk looked like, again, these are all nitpicks, but he looked a little blown up, and it looked it just takes a little bit of the specialness of it away for me, but I could be in the minority in that opinion.
Well, by blown up, are you saying a little out of shape?
Just he looked a little huffed and puffed from doing the stuff.
Then it might be better to show that than to have it that be the case for the first time at the match.
Maybe
where everybody's like, this is going to be epic, and he's you're like, oh shit, he's 42. I forgot he's 42. Why didn't anybody remind me that this man is 42 years old? And he said in that interview with Tony Khan after the press conference, that he hasn't been training like at all.
Yeah, like, that he's been doing relatively being in shape training, but wrestling, from what I understand, is way different. Like the cardio in wrestling is so much more different.
I'm sure it's exhausting.
Yeah. So it's like MMA. Like they always talked about, you could train all you want, you could run 15 miles a day, but like there's no substituting for when a dude is laying on top of you, like pushing all of his weight on you. Like that's what they used to say about Khabib all the time. It's like you can't simulate the pressure that guy puts on you, no matter how good a shape you're in. Because these guys are world-class athletes, even wrestlers, world-class athletes. And when a guy gets hurt and he comes back to the ring, you always hear stories of them being like, I might be in good shape, but I am not in wrestling shape. I'm out of shape for wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole different animal. I mean, you can even with golf, like if you're in good shape, but you're not playing golf, you go play golf, you're going to be sore the next day because you're using different muscles in different ways. That it's probably the same thing with wrestling. If you're not throwing human beings around, you're going to be sore after you throw human beings around. But he has been, like we talked about before, he's been working for that show Heels, and all that stuff. So he's probably got some work in, but like, and he said he'll probably get in a ring a couple times before that. And honestly, putting him on TV doing those things yesterday might have been good for him. He might have wanted to move around on television in front of everybody and execute and do his move and all that stuff. I'm not a huge fan of the go to sleep, to be honest. I like it because it's unique.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if that he's the only one to have ever done that move. You would know that better than I would, but I haven't seen that move out of people before, but I just don't think it's that like spectacular of a finisher.
It's good to do to small guys. Like in WWE, it was hard a lot of the time for him to do it because he's doing it to these massive.
You do that to Miro.
Right, he's doing it to these massive, to John Cena, The Undertaker, The Rock, like these big guys. And he did not invent the move. Kenta, who we used to wrestle in NXT as Hideo Itami.
Yeah, I remember.
He invented the move. So
I also feel like I think it's mostly because I hate the name. The move itself isn't like it kind of makes sense. Like it's hard to land a knee on somebody, but if you pick the motherfucker up and then drop him onto your knee, they don't have a lot of say in the matter. Right. But calling it the go to sleep it's corny on like it's corny on a pretty high level.
It is a perfectly corny on a wrestling level way though, because like Honky Tonk Man used to be called the Shake, Rattle, and Roll, you know.
But it seems it's trying to be like tough, like it's the go to sleep, man. Yeah. What? You call it something you'd say? It should be called the put you to sleep, if anything. But even then, it's stupid.
Yeah. CM Punk does not have a long history, he has a long history of not great finishing moves. He used to do a move called the Pepsi Plunge, which was actually cool as a top rope pedigree.
He's just trying to get that sponsorship money.
Yeah, it's a top rope pedigree, but it's insanely difficult to set up in a realistic way. Plus, it's hell on your knees, I imagine.
Well, yeah, the pedigree itself takes a lot of cooperation.
So imagine from the top rope, like you've got to get the dude to, it's very convoluted. But
like that, what's that kid named? Danny Garcia?
Yeah,
the submission kid. I think we talked about it on the podcast. Like everybody's stoked on that guy. I get it. Like he moves around pretty well. The amount of help that Jon Moxley had to give him to get into those submission moves, like he had to stand there frozen for seconds while Danny Garcia tries to pretzel his legs and shit. Like I don't like that stuff.
You ever met anybody who wanted to like put you in like a hold or something or show you something, and he's like, well, you got to quit moving, dude, you got to hold still. And I'm like, well, if any amount of resistance from me means you can't put this thing on me, you're not ever putting it on anybody.
It's like those hokey martial arts turds that are like, I just put my hand on his face and direct him this other way, and the guy's like falling like slowly to the side. Like
those Boss Rutan self-defense videos.
Well,
if you haven't seen the greatest things that I've on the internet, YouTube Boss Rutan self-defense video, it's amazing.
And it's so sad because Boss Rutan's a real fighter, and he's like talking about like he keeps telling you just punch people in the nuts and then just slam their head against the table like 15 times in a row, and the guy's just letting him do it like a rag doll the whole time.
I'm sure Boss Rutan could do that because Boss Rutan's a badass.
Yeah,
but
he's a monster.
If he's trying to teach me not Boss Rutan self-defense techniques, and he's like, well, all you do is you just grab the guy's trachea and rip it out, that's not going to help me. That
you show it ridiculous. To him. You got to show it to him afterwards.
Again, mild disagreements. I don't think it's the wrong thing to do. It's just not necessarily what I would have done. I would have held it off, but it got a huge reaction for the go to sleep, and this is going to be a huge main event. So that's the card for All Out. Overall, I think there's going to be some really good matches on this thing. I'm just hoping that they find a way. I'm hoping 3.5 hours. I don't see that everything on here needs 20 minutes to tell its story. Like it should be the opposite. It gets bad whenever everything is 20 minutes.
They might have Big Show squash Marshall. Fucking heart punch choke slam pin.
Yeah, do it.
Well,
I would be so happy if that
yeah.
happened. Like the match isn't as long as the intros.
Yeah.
That's what I want from that situation.
Is Marshall a squashable character in this scenario?
Yeah, he's not doing anything, and I don't know how much the Big Show can really do. And
yeah, he's 50.
Yeah, and
he's got acromegaly.
And he's got like a 3.5 pounds of titanium in his hip or something crazy like that. It like him being in the ring is crazy enough. Like I see Eddie Kingston and Miro, you're talking 10 to 12 minutes. Kojima and John Moxley, 8 to 10 minutes.
Even though they want to go 45, probably.
Right. Young Bucks and Lucha Bros, that's a long match. Omega and Cage is a long match. I don't even think CM Punk and Darby Allin have to go. I think go 15 minutes. I mean, CM Punk could stand in that ring and just put his arms up like Sid Vicious, and the crowd would eat up every single thing he did. Like nobody's going home disappointed with a CM Punk match where he hits the go to sleep on Darby Allin after a competitive match and everybody goes home.
That's the thing. After a competitive match, you can't have him come in and squash Darby Allin. That would be, in my opinion, terrible booking. So
yeah, that's a huge mistake.
Yeah, they've got to be. There's got to be near falls. I don't know if you have CM Punk take the coffin drop. Do people have anybody kicked out of the coffin drop? Do people kick out?
No, I don't think so. I think he gets out of the way. He uses his KG Wiles as a veteran, gets out of the way of the coffin drop. Darby Allin takes that bump because he'll just do it anyway, and then Punk picks him up and hits the GTS, and that can be the
finish. Yeah, after they beat the shit out of each other for 10 or 15 minutes.
After you give Darby Allin, I'd give Darby Allin 1 to 2 really good near falls. Yeah, he crucifixes Punk, and you think he gets out of the GTS that way. Punk goes to GTS him, and he hooks the arms and folds him back into a pin somehow. Yeah. And that's your one real big Darby Allin near fall where he almost gets him. But, CM Punk, he's too wily and he's too cagey and he's got whatever, and that's how you end the show. But I also, I tweeted this last night. I love that CM Punk keeps mentioning how the fans are going to eventually get sick of Cult of Personality and him coming out. And eventually all of that fanfare is going to die down, because I think Punk is smart enough to realize the real money, there's huge money in him as a babyface. The real story, the real meaty story is him turning heel at some point down the line. And he can lay the groundwork for that now he's telling the crowd, eventually you're going to be sick of me. And then later in a perfect mirror, he can say, I told you you'd get sick of me. And now you're sick of me, but now I'm not going away, and I'm going to beat all your heroes, and I'm going to do whatever. Like that's great too. And I think Danielson, you have Danielson come out. I think you got to do it after the main event, because I wouldn't do it after Omega and Cage, because that's gonna get the crowd too high, and then Punk and Darby Allin got to win him back. I feel like.
See, I don't understand that idea, and I know that idea exists in wrestling. I don't get it. I come from stand up. You keep that momentum going, because especially since it's CM Punk. If the main event was Kenny Omega and Christian Cage, or the main event was something not as big as the CM Punk match, then I would agree, because then it would be like bang, to a 10, and then the main event's a 9. You don't want that. But if you bring out Daniel Bryan and then everybody's like, fucking whoa, party at the vegan store down the street, and then it explodes, and then we still get to see fucking CM Punk wrestle now.
Yeah.
So like,
I would just worry about fatigue, and maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but I think as opposed to stand up, like this is going to be for a 4-hour show where they're asking you to keep things up the whole time. And not that like people are going to shit on a Darby Allin CM Punk match. I just wonder if, like there's a maximum amount of energy, even a giant building like that can give for stuff.
Well, and I mean, in that, even within that example, though, you bring out Danielson last, they're fucking all asleep in the crowd, dying of fatigue and famine. Then you're not getting as big of a boner from the crowd at that point. It depends. It kind of also depends on who he's going to wrestle next. Because like if you're gonna go straight to Omega versus Daniel Bryan, you have him come out after the Omega match, and
that's what I would do.
Omega.
I'd spin Omega off with Danielson, and then I would do CM Punk versus MJF. If MJF retires Chris Jericho, then I have, then he's
a pretty big jumping point.
Yeah. But I think that's where you go with, okay, well, now I'll retire the next guy. I'll retire the next legend that all of you love. He's just trying to chop people down.
And he's like, Paul White, you're taking everything I worked for, motherfucker. Like he calls out.
Yeah. I've been doing it for years. So we will be live on YouTube, live streaming after All Out ends, high as hell off the endorphins of what I hope will be a very good show. What on paper looks to be a very good show.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is the show's going to end. I'm going to flip the stream on. We'll have like a backdrop or whatever, so we can let a couple people filter in, and Dusty and I can get everything ready. Just make sure our lighting's good, everything's ready, and then we'll kick it on probably maybe 5 to 10 minutes after the show ends. And just get going. It's going to be on YouTube, on Snark Marks Podcast YouTube, which you should be able to find with a search now. That we're not coming up with a search at this point because I think it's because we haven't released a video. So like I'm going to put this out as a video with just Dusty and I are in our PJs, so I'm not going to play this video. I'm going to put a picture and then have the video, the audio on there, just so you can find where we're going to be. Otherwise, if you can't find the YouTube channel, look at our Twitter, our Instagram, and our Facebook. We have posted. It's in our Twitter and Instagram bios, and it's on a post on Facebook. If you want to navigate to our YouTube, please subscribe. We will be doing this more often and making other standalone videos. But yeah, join us live for probably a while. We are long-winded guys, so we'll probably be on there for a little bit.
Takes many future hot takes.
Yeah.
And
then we hope you enjoy All Out. We hope you enjoyed our primer for All Out. I'm gonna go back to being a AEW expert that has seen every minute of it. As soon as we hit stop recording, and
do you feel like it's going to be jarring for you to return to who you are, to let the character go?
Oh my God, all this information! I understand. I get it.
I was outside the studio in a cardboard box trying to re-enter Earth's orbit
for 3 weeks. So we love you all. Thank you for listening. And we will see you on Sunday morning. We will be releasing an episode of our 1997 deep dive. To be frank, I can't remember what episode it is. So it'll be
I believe it is Road Wild.
It is Road Wild, 100%. We are this Sunday we are releasing our Road Wild episode, which was a really bad wrestling show. And then the podcast episode's funny though. Actually, it's really funny. And then Sunday evening we will be live right after All Out for our immediate reaction. Looking nice, got a green screen, trying to look legit and shit.
Check out Andrew and his Rick Steiner t-shirt.
Oh, dude, it's in too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm stoked. But love you guys. Thank you for listening.
See you Sunday night. Bye.